723 days ago, I showed up hungover to the most important training of my career. Today, I don't even remember what being hungover feels like. Here's how I stopped letting that version of me vote on my future. Most of us are walking around with the board of directors in our head, and half the board members are dead. The one who got cheated on is still voting on new relationships. The person who got fired is still voting on career moves. The addict? Yeah, he's still voting on Friday night plans. We call it experience. We call it wisdom. We call it learning from our mistakes. But really, it's just dead identities making living decisions. When I was newly sober, everyone at the mill saw the old me. Most importantly, I still saw the old me. Every decision I made was filtered through, what would drunk John do? And then I'd do the opposite. But that still meant drunk John was voting. He was just voting no instead of yes. Today, I'm giving you the 5 principles to revoke your past voting rights permanently. Principle 1, the 90-day statute of limitation. Your reputation has an expiration date. I call it the 90-day statute of limitation. After 90 days of consistent new behavior, your past is officially outdated information. Anyone bringing up who you were 4 months ago is working with expired data. Someone says, "Remember when you used to?" You respond with, "That was over 90 days ago. I've updated since then." No apologies, no explanation, it's just facts. When I first got sober, guys at work would bring up stories from years ago. "Hey John, remember that Christmas party when you..." "That was 2 years ago, Mike. I don't even have the same phone number anymore. Why would I still have the same habits?" The 90-day rule isn't about forgetting your past. It's about recognizing that after 3 months of change, you're statistically a different person. Your cells have regenerated. Your neural pathways, they have reformed. Your habits have restructured. But most importantly, you've proven the change is real. After 90 days, I stopped explaining why I didn't drink. The evidence was in the consistency. Principle 2, stop campaigning as your past. This is a big one. You're not running for office as your old self anymore. So stop starting sentences with, "I used to be," "I'm the kind of person who," "I always," "I never." These are campaign slogans for an identity you're trying to fire. I spent 6 months sober still introducing myself as an alcoholic in recovery. Every conversation started with my weakness. I was campaigning as my past. Now, I don't drink. Past tense. Current identity, no backstory required. When you tell old stories, you're not sharing experiences. You're voting for that person to stay in power. That day I showed up hungover to training, I could tell that story as a confession, or I can tell that story as evidence, as a shame, or as a transformation. The story doesn't change, but what office I'm running for does. Stop campaigning as who you were. Start declaring who you are. Principle 3, fire your past from the boardroom. Every decision you make has a board meeting in your head. Who's sitting at that table? The 20-year-old who dropped out? He's fired. 30-year-old who got divorced? He's gone too. The version who couldn't stay sober? Yeah, he's definitely gone. They had their chance to run the company. Here's the practical application. When facing a decision, ask, is this the past voting or the present choosing? Friday night comes, the voice says, you can't handle social situations without drinking. That's not wisdom. That's a fired employee trying to sneak back into the building. The new CEO says, I'm navigating social situations clearly now. 3 months sober and I had a brutal shift at the mill. The equipment was breaking down, we were behind schedule, I'm getting yelled at. That voice in the back of my head saying, you can't handle this without a drink. That wasn't wisdom. That's a fired employee trying to make decisions. So I ask, is this the past voting or the present choosing? Past me would have gone straight to the bar. Present me sat in the truck for 5 minutes, called a buddy, then went home and hit some trails. Handled distress, no beer required. My past self was operating with incomplete data, limited tools, and outdated software. Why would I let them make current decisions? Principle 4, excellence is your argument. Stop defending your transformation and start demonstrating it. When I got sober, I spent months explaining to coworkers that I've changed, telling them I was different, convincing them to see the new me. Complete waste of energy. Instead, I became undeniable. Perfect attendance for 6 months. First to volunteer for overtime. Started reading. Hit trails instead of bars. Excellence ended the conversation. Your results revoke your past voting rights faster than your words ever could. When someone brings up your past now, let your present results do the talking. Your transformation isn't an argument, it's proof. It's evidence that you're growing into something better. Principle 5, protect your future from your history. Your past, it gets one vote. It can vote on what not to become. That's it. The guy who showed up hungover to training, he's actually useful now. He's my reminder of what happens when I let comfort make decisions. He's my data point for why discipline matters. But he doesn't get to decide what I'm capable of. Your history is your education, not your identity. Your failures are data, not destiny. Protect your future from your history by remembering the past can inform, but it cannot vote. Here's what it looks like in real life. Offered a beer at lunch? My old response is, no thanks, I'm in recovery. I had a problem. My new response? I don't drink. Someone brings up an old story? An old response? Laugh along, feel ashamed, apologize. New response? Different person, homie, different chapter. Making a big decision? Old process. What would drunk me do? Then do the opposite. New process? What would future me be thankful for? And then I do that. 724 days ago, I couldn't separate who I was from who I'd been. Every decision was a reaction to my past instead of a choice for my future. Now, 3 guys from work are sober because they saw it was possible. Not because I preached, but because I proved the past doesn't own your future. The mill is the same, the work is the same, but I'm not the same guy. The guy who showed up hungover, he doesn't work here anymore. So here's this week's assignment. Identify 3 board members who need to be fired from your mental committee. Write them down. Could be the version of you who failed at something, the version who quit, the version of you who believed a lie about yourself. Now write their termination letters. They don't work here anymore. Their voting rights have been revoked. Thank them for the education and show them the door. Comment below which identity you're firing today, because every time you let your past vote, you're electing to stay the same. Your past, it had its chance. It chose comfort or fear or addiction or whatever kept you stuck. Time for new management. The position has been filled by someone way better, and that's you, the person you're growing into. One tenacious tendency at a time.